So let's go over balancing chemical equations. A lot of students have been asking me, how do you even balance chemical equations? How are you doing it? It's really not that bad. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a pro tip. Again, these videos take time to create, so please follow, like, share. Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing that I do when I'm balancing my chemical equations is I draw down a line right down below the yield sign, and then I write what I have. So I have hydrogen and oxygen. Obviously, I have the same thing on the right on my product side, and so again, you're gonna have the same elements in your reactant side and your product side. So I write down what I have. So I have on the left, on my reactant side, I have 2 hydrogens and I have 2 oxygens. Okay. And then on the right side, I have 2 hydrogens and only 1 oxygen. So that's where coefficients come into play, right? So again, whatever coefficient I put in front is going to multiply, right? So if I put, again, hypothetically, if I put 2 here, right? So I'm not going to have 2 hydrogens. I'm going to have 4 hydrogens. 2 times 2 is 4. And now I'm going to have, again, you have an imaginary 1 here. So 1 times 2 is 2. So I'm going to have 2 oxygens and I'm going to have 4 hydrogens. So now I need to go back to my reactant side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I have 4 hydrogens and I have 2 oxygens on the product side, on the right side. So I need to have 4 hydrogens. So what can I multiply to get 4? Well, 2 times 2 is 4. So this is going to be, again, the balanced equation. Okay, so it's going to be, you're not going to have that one written. It was just for you to see what you have. But again, if you have nothing written, that means you have an imaginary 1 there. So now that they match, I have 4 hydrogens and 2 oxygens on each side. I am done. This is my balanced equation. So let's go to the next one. So same process. I'm going to write down what I have. So I have carbon, I have 3. Hydrogen, I have 8. And oxygen, I have 2. Okay. One more thing I forgot to mention, you can't have halves. Like, you can't say you have 1.5. Coefficients are always whole. So just know that. That's something that you need to know. So again, now I'm writing down what I have on my product side. Again, I only have 1 carbon. And don't forget, so here I had 2, right? But if you look here, I have 2 here and 1 here. So in actuality, I have 3 oxygens. And again, my hydrogens, I have 2. Actually, let me rewrite because I'm going to have them in the same order. Okay. So now I need to match. Okay. So what you can do is you can say, how can I get these sides to match? Well, you know that you have 3. So you kind of have to play with it. So if I put 3 here, okay, that's going to mean I have 3 carbons. That's going to mean I have 6 oxygens plus 1 is going to be 7 oxygens. And again, I haven't touched my hydrogens. But now I look here on the other side, and again, now my oxygens are off. And like I told you before, you can't do by half, like you can't multiply by 1.5. So this is my other strategy that I'm going to do. I'm going to say, okay, what if I multiply this by 2 first to get a whole number? Okay, so I'm going to have 6. Okay, now I'm going to have 16, and I still have 2. So now let's multiply by the other side. So now let's multiply this by 6. So I'm going to have 6 carbons. Again, 6 times 2 is 12. Now I'm going to have 13 oxygens. But if you notice, on this side, I have 16 hydrogens. So 2 times 8 is 16. So if I multiply by 8, again, 8 times 2 is 16. Now I'm going to have 16 hydrogens. And now I'm going to have 8 oxygens plus 12 oxygens is going to give me 20 oxygens. Okay. And then what can I multiply here? Well, I can multiply by 10. Okay, and again, I'm going to have 20 oxygens. And now they match. Now that I have this, all of these coefficients are divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide all of them by 2. And it's going to be C3H8 plus 5O2 yields 3CO2 plus 4H2O. And let's again do the same thing to make sure. If you want to check, this is your check. Again, you have 3, you have 8, you have 10, you have 3 carbons, 6 plus 4 is 10, and 4 times 2 is 8. So this checks out. So I want to show you that you can also do this. Mine, I did it more, but again, when you can reduce all of them, you can divide all of them by the same coefficient like I did here. And again, I'm not left with any halves or anything. So this is another possible method for you to work out balancing chemical equations. Now let's go to something harder. So let's say you have this. Notice that the top and the bottom are the same problem. So I'm going to show you the X method, or that's the way that I call it, the X method. So this ClO4 you have here is the ClO4 you have here. So some chemists, you do this to make it easier. So they'll like replace it with a letter. So let's replace this whole ClO4 with an X. And then they do the math that I was showing you above. And that's supposed to make it easier. So we'll work it out in both ways for you to see. But know that you have this option as well. If you want to do the easy way first, we can do that. So again, you're going to write down what you have. You have Ba, you have oxygen, hydrogen, and X. Okay, so again, you have 1 Ba, you have 2 oxygen, you have 3 hydrogen because you have 2 here and 1 here, and you have 1 X. And again, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, Ba, OH, and X. You have 1 Ba, you have 2 X, you have 2 hydrogens, and you have 1 oxygen. So again, here you have 2X. So on here, you can multiply, and now you're going to have 2X. Now you're going to have 4 hydrogens. Okay, notice this one is 4 now, and this one is 2. So you can multiply by 2 here. Now you're going to have 4 hydrogens. Now you're going to have 2 oxygens. And notice, I already balanced the whole thing. It's done. So that is why it's called the X method. It's supposed to make it a lot easier instead of looking at the Cl and the oxygen and doing everything separately. But again, it is possible. So now let's do the long method. So again, you have Ba, you have oxygen, you have hydrogen, you have Cl, and you have oxygen. Oops, we already have oxygen, okay? So again, you have Ba, you have OHCl. So you have 1 Ba, you have 6 oxygens, you have 3 hydrogens, and you have 1 chlorine. Again, you have 1 Ba, you have 2 chlorines, you have 9 oxygens because you have 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. And then you have 2 hydrogens. So again, you need to try to make it match. So here, I'm going to go first with this step. I have chlorine, I have 2, so I only have 1 on this side. So I'm going to multiply by 2. And now I'm going to have 2 hydrogens plus 2 hydrogens is 4, 2 chlorines, and then I'm going to have 8 oxygen plus the 2 on the other side, that's going to be 10. Okay, and then I can go back and say, well, I have 10 oxygens and I have 4 hydrogens on the reactant side. on the product side, I have 9 oxygens and 2 hydrogens. So what if I multiply this by 2? So then I can say, well, 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Then I'm going to have 2 oxygens plus my oxygens, that's going to be 10, and I'm done. So again, you can do it in either way. Again, this is probably going to be the preferred method for a lot of you because it's just easier. You don't have to play with as many variables or elements. But yes, that is the pro tip, the pro trick. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Again, it takes time to create this content, so please follow, like, share, and thanks again for watching.